James, do you want me to be the button presser?
I can press it.
Yeah, ready when you are.
So this is my, well, at the end it showed the edit that I did for the Broadsands Beach Watersports Centre. So it's just like a small standalone business company that based at Broadsands Beach, rent out sort of sea sports equipment, so kayaks, canoes, stand-up paddle boards. They also do rent out like paddles and buoyancy aids if you do need it, if you've forgotten your own, but we only really allow it if you're actually at that beach and we can sort of see you. So me and my client communicated through a lot of telephone and meeting up discussing. There were a lot of times we had met up and ended up discussing things and just didn't end up not recording them because, well, we were just just out working or just doing sort of everyday things, so we didn't always discuss it and record it. So there's a lot of discussions that weren't shown, and so there was a lot of changes made that I haven't recorded. The meetings went very smoothly as it was. My client is someone that I know very well. I've worked with him for the last 3 summers. He is my sort of boss at the end of the day, so I can talk to him easily. So it's easy to sort of change ideas, to put ideas forward to each other, to sort of pitch ideas with each other and see what's changing, what's going to stay the same. Maybe if there's a whole new concept that he wants to introduce, what parts of the area he wants filming. So if he does just want the water sports or the side bits like the fitness and the golf filming, or if there's anything we might introduce, unique selling points that he's got that he might want to show off or anything like that. So it was very easy to communicate, and it just made things a lot easier. The communication, very successful. The main problem was never really being disciplined on ourselves to stick to an idea, so we'd constantly change ideas, change what we want, change how this is going to look and change how that's going to. So there was a very constant fluctuation in what was actually happening, which made it at points confusing, other points it seemed very simple. Then we'd find out we kind of got the wrong gist of things, and then so it was constant back and forth. The client's requirements constantly changed. The original idea was to show all the sort of little businesses he has, show the business, but all the parts he's got linked to it, so the golf, fitness and water sports. But after some thinking, he was changing ideas, so it's a bit like, oh, I don't really want the fitness involved, it's not something I want to focus on. You don't have as much time to film for that as well. It's hour-long sessions every other night sort of thing, so I didn't have as much time to film for that. The golf, they closed it down for the season, so it's all overgrown. He didn't want to have to go cutting all the greens and sorting it all out to make it look nicer just for this, because especially next year he wants me to film a proper version. This was a sort of rough edit and give him an idea of what he'd be getting if we did it properly. But then it kept changing, and it reached a point where he just wanted it to be the water sports and nothing else. But within the video as well, he didn't want any sort of sound effects or like wave splash and everything like. He wanted a song playing over the top, which is the way he's filmed some videos before as part of one of his other jobs, and he just does that. He just films something and just puts music over the top. So he wanted to kind of follow his way of his ideas, so that's why we did that. On the day, I met requirements, but it's hard to show that through any pre-production or like the meetings that we've had, because on the day he was there, so it looked a lot more what he wanted on that day. But if you go look back at the pre-production and stuff, it's all changed. So it's on the day, there's so much that changed, and it came out of a lot of it was just shots that he wanted, and he kind of goes, oh, film a bit of this, film a bit of that, and then there's a few shots in it that I came up with because he had gone home, so I carried on filming. I had a friend down, an actor down to finish it off. So it was a bit of both, but I think it came out quite well. So what went well, communication between me and the client just made things easier. On the day of the shoot, everything was structured. He kind of, as much as he was making some things up on the spot, he still made sure that he had a plan in place, but if it didn't go right, he was kind of constantly trying to make sure it flowed and we didn't have to keep stopping and sorting things out. And the actors and actors, workers, they weren't the best actors. They don't act, they are just people that work there, so they tried their hardest. They did listen to what ideas came forward from me and from the boss, and well, yeah, I can just say they tried their hardest, really. I'm not going to go proper criticising them. What didn't go so well, is there was a few ideas of tracking shots and some pans, but the tripod had a wonky arm, so that when I went to push down for it to tilt up, the arm just bent and the camera didn't move, so it just carried on facing forward. Tried to sort of find a way to adjust that and I couldn't. And then when I went to edit the footage to make the actual beach look like it was during the summertime, it just didn't look natural at any point. It was blatantly edited, so we ended up just keeping it as it is, and that was when we started to really reinforce the idea of film it during summer and make it look more like it should be. And then we did change the planners a lot, as the client didn't want to show. My original idea was showing a lot more of the equipment in the storeroom and prepping the equipment, but he didn't want to do that, as he felt like it was showing a lot of what he's got in there, and he felt like it might be a breach of his actual sort of security of the beach, of where all his stuff's kept and stuff like that. So you're trying to keep it sort of on the down low. I'll show you the edit now. Any questions?
I do. Just a curiosity question, really. And this probably some of you others might be able to relate to this, because you found a client, but there was benefits, wasn't there? It's a client of someone that you knew quite well because your boss.
Yeah.
But was that also? Did that also make it harder in some ways?
Yeah. At some points, because there was points where he was constantly trying to help in areas that he couldn't really help.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interfering. Like there was a few days on like the day I was shooting, he was going on about the coroner had come down to film down there, and he was going on about what they did there, what they did, and he kind of then tried changing it a bit to sort of so that behind the scenes was a bit more like that. They had people marking, so he kind of was trying to keep an eye on the continuity and stuff. Right. So he's kind of interfering a little bit, but at the same time he's trying to
help.
He's been a bit of a perfectionist with it.
And what do you think you could have done? Because I think the problem of people changing their mind happens whether you know them or not. Yeah. So what do you think, if you were to do this again, what could you put in place to stop the client? I mean, there's only so much you can do, but what could you put in place to stop that client keep on darting around and you keeping to some sort of plan? So
I did sort of speak to him about this, and it was, if we want to do another edit and do a proper sort of final cut during the summer, and I said to him this time I'm only going to give him sort of 2, maybe 3 briefs, and let him pick between those 3, and that's what we're sticking with. Yeah. And sort of keep to one idea, so we don't constantly change and have things that might not work.
Yeah, and things like that. It's because remember we went through that process, didn't we? Like writing a final brief for the client, and that's why. That's the reason. It protects you, really. It's not just about keeping them happy, but think, right, this is what we've agreed. This is the amount of days. So learn from that, because that problem that you came across comes whether you know them or not, and so it happens more often if you know them, because it's a bit more flexible. And you often have conversations on the phone or over breakfast or something a lot more casual. So things change without it being formal. What did people think of the video? What's your...
I do see what James meant, where he was saying about how it was very dark.
Yeah.
And it didn't fit the theme. I can see the intention.
Yeah.
What it would, I can imagine what it would have looked like. So that's my perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like the theme of it. Yeah, like the use of the song, you know, the holiday. But next time, we probably make sure you actually have it in sunny weather. So
It's amazing what sun can do, isn't it? Well, it's like even when you go and visit these places, as soon as the sun's out, it just looks like a completely different place. But that was out of your... I mean, we have set you a brief that's autumn-winter. So, but I would definitely revisit it.
Yeah.
And because I actually really liked the content.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the deck chairs and the walking with the surfboard and
handing of the things
Yeah, it was good. I really liked it. But yeah, it just missed his son.
Yeah.
I see what you mean with like some of the actors in there.
Just a bit robotic.
Just didn't look like a real actor. He looked like someone who should be behind the camera, really.
Yeah, they're the people that they work there. So, oh no, I said this to them already. But they kind of, I just said to them, try and be a bit more natural.
Yeah.
After a few of them, and they just didn't, and they just carried on. They kind of walked out very robotic.
Yeah, yeah.
But then when Ollie came down, because Ollie was in it, I just said, this isn't so much of a you need to act and get into a role. I just said act natural, like you've just turned up to go out kayaking, and I think he did quite well with it.
Yeah, he did okay. And I think also if you were to do it again, it'd be, and it was summer, so it'd be much easier. You'd see actually real clients renting things, and there'd be a lot more life. Maybe seeing people eat ice creams, all the stuff that's surrounded by British beaches and what we do. So yes, look at it as a really good practice and something that you can do again. Oh, well done. And you was on your own, and you didn't plan to be working on your own, so I think that's to be considered as well.